All right, so we're going to start by reviewing the IAM components one more time. So first we have users. Users are unique accounts that are used to access AWS services. These are typically going to be assigned to each individual person that needs to access the AWS environment. Next we have groups. So groups are exactly what they sound like. They organize users into groups for easier administration. Next we have roles. So roles grant access to services like EC2 or Lambda, and we're going to go over all of this a little bit later on in the section and later on in the course. So don't worry too much if you don't understand that. And then policies. So policies are the actual sets of rules. They're the sets of permission that can be applied to either users, groups, or roles. So let's go over users. They are accounts that are used to grant permissions for AWS services. The best practice for these is to create an individual user for each person who needs to access AWS. Users by default have no permission, so we have to go in and apply policies and explicitly grant permission to users. When we create a new user, they cannot do anything. All right, so here's a bit more about groups. It's important to understand that users can be placed in multiple groups. You can see here that we have people that are in the sysadmin group and also in the developers group. But one thing to understand is that groups themselves cannot be placed in other groups. So we cannot nest groups together. So keep that in mind. Next we have IAM roles. So these are kind of like a user, but they're not uniquely associated with one person. And we don't have standard long-term credentials like username and password combination. When we assume a role that provides temporary security credentials for that role session, there's some reasons we might want to use this. Some applications that we may not want to embed AWS access keys in, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Another thing is that we may want to grant access to third parties so they can perform some function like an audit. So again, these are not uniquely associated with one person, and we don't have the standard long-term credentials like the logins like we do with the users. IAM policies. So they're JSON documents that are used to define permissions. Identity-based policies can be applied to either users, groups, or roles. And the best practice is to apply policies at the group level. And that's to avoid any confusion for the different individual users, especially for larger environments. It becomes very cumbersome to try to manage the different policies on a user-by-user basis. Now, we could take a look here at the JSON document itself, and this is what it's going to look like. And we're going to take a closer look on the next slide. You're not going to be expected to know the ins and outs of JSON format for the AWS CCP exam. But if you have a basic understanding, it's going to help you understand what you're looking at in the AWS policies. So we want to do a quick walkthrough of these example policies to help you understand some of the basics here. At the top, we have the SID, or Statement ID, which is an optional field that you can use to differentiate between your different statements. The first statement is called change password. Next, you have the effect, which should be set to allow or deny. Now, by default, permissions are explicitly denied, and the most restrictive policy will always be applied. Action refers to the list of actions that this policy applies to. In our first example, you can see here that the action is referring to the IAM service and the change password action. This action gives users the permission to change their own IAM password. Resource refers to the resource which the action applies. In this case, the asterisk is used as a wildcard indicating that the action applies to everyone that the policy is applied to. So to summarize, the statement is allowing everyone who has this policy applied to change their own IAM password. Now let's take a look at our next example. For our second example, the SID, or Statement ID, is Secure Data Bucket MFA. This is a name that we make up to help us remember what the statement is referring to. So the effect is allow again. Now this time we have two actions. S3 is the service, and list and get are the actions. We will learn more about S3 in later sections, but for now, just know that S3 is an AWS storage service and that list and get allow users to see and retrieve the contents of that S3 storage. For the resource this time, we're listing a specific S3 storage location within our environment called secure data. Now lastly, we have a condition element. This is an optional item that specifies a condition that needs to be met for the statement to be applied. In this example, the condition is multi-factor auth present, which means that for this statement to apply, the user must be authenticated using multi-factor authentication, which we're going to learn about soon. So to summarize this second example, we're saying that we want to allow users to see and retrieve items in our secure data bucket, but only if they're using multi-factor authentication.
This wraps up IAM Components. Now let's move on to the IAM Users and Groups demonstration.